Hello and welcome to the Live Streamer Backstage Podcast. I'm Alec Johnson and this is a weekly show where I interview fellow live streamers to understand how they are using live streaming as a tool in their business and to discover the tech, the gear and the software that they use to produce great live shows. My guest today is Eliseo Way, a recording artist, singer-songwriter, producer and stage performer. A lifelong content creator, in fact, since before the term content creator was even created. Eliseo is, of course, a video content producer and live streamer as well. And I'm really interested to hear about Eliseo's content creator journey into live streaming and how the skills that he has honed as a stage performer and musician translate over into live streaming. And I'm also interested to learn how he's using live streaming as a tool to complement his music and other business ventures. I'm also really keen, though, to understand how he has approached creating an entire business around providing content creation and live streaming production as a service to others as well. We will, of course, be also talking about the dopeness that is Eliseo's studio. I've got a huge amount of admiration and respect for this man and really looking forward to this conversation. So without further ado, let's welcome Eliseo Way. Hey, Eliseo, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on? Do I got my applause here? Yeah, that's the old applause. I got to put the new applause in there. That sounds more like in the back alley somewhere. I want the stadium applause now. What's going on, Alec? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks so much for being here. And I know you've got other things going on there at the moment in Orlando, so I do appreciate you coming through, man.
We are in the middle of probably a hurricane, Cat 3 or Cat 4 hurricane tomorrow. But it's not here today, so we working today.
Cool, we're here.
You know, if it's not here yet, we still on, man. So thanks for having me, man. I know you said you have a great deal of admiration for me, but believe it or not, man, like, you know, when you first came on my radar and I was just seeing like how humble you were, how, you know, giving you were, and how you know, knowledgeable you were, and how you were just like so active in the community that is Ecamm, and even just in the content creation community, I was like, yo, I like this dude vibe. And from there I hit you up and we began to talk and form our, you know, relationship. And I have a great deal of respect and admiration for you as well. Just how your work ethic is just so, man, impeccable, dude. Like I told you before, like we did a coaching session with you, and I told you I gotta pay you as one of my coaches to help me get my, you know, content creation so consistent, because you're so consistent, right? And you just have everything like a system, right? So that's really what I think all of us, even myself, are missing, is like a systematic approach to our content creation. So I know that you have that like on lock, man. So I love everything you're doing, man. So thanks for having little old Eliseo on the show today. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. That's really, really, really kind. I try my best.
You do good, man. You do well.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, like I've just always been impressed by you know, the stuff that you're doing, and I've been really interested to understand like how you got into this. And you know, like as I mentioned in the intro, you know, you're a lifelong content creator. So, but how did you get into the sort of the live streaming and the video content side? Perhaps you could tell us a little bit more about your sort of backstory.
Yeah. Yeah, so I love what you said about, you know, I've been creating content since before the content creation was actually a thing, you know. So I've said that on a few interviews. So you probably heard me say that somewhere at one point. But yeah, like I remember, like, so if we look at content creation and actually what it is, I know everybody have their own definition, but me, I just look at content creation as documentation. You know what I'm saying? Documentation, whether it's verbal, you know, audio, whether it's video, whether it's music, whether it's however, you know, written, you know, that's just content creation in a nutshell for me. That's how I simplify it. It's just documentation. How are you documenting something, and what process? So yeah, I've been creating content, you know, because I was in a rap group, and I've been creating content since then, since I was getting out of high school, and just kind of filming our videos of like our shows or our road trips, our vlogging, or things like that. I remember it was 2006. I started like a vlog on YouTube. I have all those vlogs like unlisted now because it was horrible as far as like the quality and stuff.
Right.
But like I was vlogging back in like 2006 before like vlogging was even like a big thing, just kind of recording my day-to-day actions and stuff like that. So it was really cool to see the transition from like people like me who was just already kind of doing something like that. And then, you know, later when social media came out and really like blew up, then the term content creation began to be a real thing. Because I say all the time, now we have something to call ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. And then even as of last year, content creation is the biggest small business fastest growing small business type in America right now. The fastest growing small business type in America. You can actually go into any tax preparer's office or any financial institution, and you can legit now put down on a loan or a financial application that your job is your self-employed content creator. Well, we couldn't do that just a year or two ago, right? So I think that's really dope. And so just my transition into content creation was very natural because that's, like I said, was something I was already doing, creating music, filming our shows, our trips, just vlogging and things like that. And it's just really cool now to be able to say, hey, people say, what do you do? Well, I'm a content creator, and so what is that? Oh, I just pretty much document my life and other people's life and put it in a palatable form to where people can digest it visually or audibly. And that gives them some type of result, whether it's leads or whether it's attention or whether it's information or education, that gets them their desired result, whatever that may be. So everybody has their own reason why they create content. But, at the end of the day, we can all reach our desired results on what our purpose or why we're creating content. So that's a long-winded answer. I'm going to try to keep them short, but yeah.
That is actually a really big thing, though, to be able to actually, put it down as an actual income source that you can use for things like loans and so on. To be, it makes everything more official, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, 3 years ago, if I would have put down, I'm a self-employed content creator, I would have got the answer like, okay, well, what is that? You know what I'm saying? But now we can put that down and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Actually to the point where like people, like especially different financial institutions, they know that content creation is so lucrative. It actually kind of looks good now. Like it's actually like, oh, you're a content creator. Okay, you're making money. Yeah. So yeah, what you want, what you need, like we got you. Like it's almost like a good thing. So
I think that's almost part of a bigger conversation as well about the whole idea of being on YouTube. That's something that I think a lot of people maybe they don't initially like to tell folks that they're on YouTube because it's maybe got a sort of I don't want to say it's not a stigma, but you know what I mean. It's like the idea of like, oh, that's what you're going to focus your time on as a thing. Perhaps some people have those sort of limiting beliefs about it. So it's good that it's becoming sort of more mainstream like that.
Well, the realization of it is, even to have a successful YouTube channel, in my opinion, you literally have to be a very professional, very proficient, efficient person. And to the point where like we're not necessarily like YouTubers, we're actually media companies.
Yeah, sure.
We do so many things well to get to the point where we have a profitable YouTube channel, a profitable media company that like I think some people look at like YouTuber, like, oh, not a YouTuber, but yeah, in a sense you're using a platform to get what you need, but at the same day, the skills that you need for a successful YouTube channel, whether it's editing, whether it's, video, lighting, whether it's, copywriting, like these are all essential skills in any business. So,
sure.
I think it's more fitting that we say that we have media companies and things like that. But, I'm cool with saying I'm a YouTuber. I love saying it. Cool.
Yep. And it's almost like because you've got to do so many things like all yourself as well, until you start sort of outsourcing all of that and treating it as a business and, taking people on to do that kind of stuff. You do have to have a really quite a broad sort of skill set to do it effectively. So you spot on there.
Facts. Skill stacking is a real thing. I tell people all the time, especially when it comes to when you're working for yourself, starting like a startup business, especially in content creation. A lot of times we have skills that we acquired over the years that are literally key and essential to what we're moving into, so whether that's communication or like I said, whether it's writing or whether it's lighting or, whether it's audio, mixing, engineering, like these are all stackable skills that we can't isolate. We actually have to bring those together for the bigger picture for our purpose that we're moving into. And I was guilty. I was one where it's like, well, I was an audio engineer for years. I know how to make good audio sound good. Like, how does my mic sound? I sound pretty good right now.
Sounding good.
So it's like my lighting is something that I had to learn. Camera settings is something I did have to learn. But if we take those skills and now kind of put them together and put them into the pieces of the puzzle that we're trying to solve for our life, which is of course income and fulfillment and things like that, man, all those skills are essential. And to your point, I know you said until we start to bring on more people, some people never do that, and,
Sure.
and they still have successful, fulfilling lives. They like I was talking to Brian G, and he was like he edits his videos still. You know,
Right.
have you ever heard Brian
G.
Johnson?
Johnson? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he was like he still edits his video, and I could have swore he had an editing team. You know,
Right.
he was like, no, he's like I enjoy the process of editing my own video. So I mean that's what content creation is about. It's about us. It's about fulfillment, right? So if you actually enjoy that process, don't let a YouTuber guru tell you that you need to outsource that. You know what I'm saying? Like, take your time and enjoy that process. That literally might be one of the processes and the step that's healing you in some way, or helping you mentally in some way. So, I mean, I can go on and on about that side of it, but everybody it's not a one size fits all to content creation and success in that field. It's really, I tell people all the time, just like you can look at your fingerprint and it's unique, where your content creation and your content creation journey is like a fingerprint. It is so unique in your own way. Of course, there's best practices to be successful. It is best practices, but at the end of the day, there are some things that are going to be unique to you that's going to have you stand out and give you your own edge and give you your own sense of satisfaction and fulfillment that's going to be completely unique to you. So I don't want to go on a tangent, but
there's no tangents here. It's just a conversation. But that's
okay.
That's cool. One of the things you mentioned though was about the sort of skill stacking and bringing skills that you've got from other things. And I know with me, like with the sort of live streaming, I've got a background in doing public speaking, so I've got no issue with standing on a stage in front of however many people and giving a speech. But when you come over to live streaming, you'd think, well, it's the same thing. I'm talking to an audience, but there is some differences there. I just wondered how you'd found when you started doing live streaming, the skills that you'd brought over from obviously being a stage performer and musician and so on. How did you find that translated, and what were the sort of sticking points that you maybe initially found with live streaming, if any?
Yeah, so just like you, I don't have I don't have a degree or nothing in public speaking or oration or anything like that. But being on stage performing, being in front of people, having the lights and the mic on you all the time, I kind of brought that right over. And I remember it was 2017 when I first started live streaming, and I literally just had a cheap Dell laptop and a Logitech C920. And what I did is I started a music review show where unsigned artists would just send me their music, and I would actually play their music, and then we would do it like that. And I just like the feeling of being able to, because live streaming gives us something that you don't necessarily get in person. In person, people have to come. In person, people have to travel. In person, people have to put a lot more effort into getting into the venue or into the place. With live streaming, you don't have to do that. You literally, everybody's just pressing a button. So I'm pressing a button to get this turned on. They're pressing the button to jump on their phone or on their computer, and it's a lot less, laborious to make that happen. So I just like that aspect of live stream. I'm like, wow, I literally just had a couple hundred people on my live stream, and it didn't cost anything, or it didn't, besides just their time or their attention, it didn't really so I just like the accessibility of live streaming. So that's why I kind of came over, and then, I was doing that for a couple of years, and then the pandemic happened, and then then I came into the Ecamm fam. I came through Marshall Fox. I seen his live stream one day, and I'm like, yo, why does your live stream look so clean? I remember thinking, what? Like, what is this? So then I hit him up, and I didn't even know him at the time. I just hit him up, and then we started talking. He's like, yeah, I'm using Ecamm. I'm using this Canon M50, which is what I'm using right now. This is my main camera, is a Canon M50. I still have it because I can't get rid of it. It still looks good. Yep. And I know there's better cameras for better reasons, but I'm like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So then I came over to Ecamm, and then we'll get more into this later because I know we're going to talk more about the business side. When I got into Ecamm, that literally opened up a whole nother side of live streaming, content creation, pre-recorded video and production, live production that I got into. It was like a whole world. I'm like, yo, and I tell people all the time, like I said, we'll get more into it. Yo, Ecamm, not all of us have that desire. I get it. But if you do have the desire to start a 6-figure business model, Ecamm is the tool that can do that. So we'll get more into that.
Oh, I mean, that was what really spurred me into the live streaming side of stuff as well, was getting Ecamm to use for my video creation, for the recording the videos. But then it's got something in it. If it was food, I would sure they were lacing it with something. It's got some secret sauce in there that's really just makes you want to keep coming back to it. It's quite,
I love that, because I say that all the time when I go out with my wife and we go to restaurants and stuff. and I taste something I like or a drink that I like, I say, oh, there's something in there. They got something in there.
Yeah.
So Ecamm got some secret sauce in there. They like the Wizards of Oz.
I just want to take a moment to talk about Ecamm Live. This is the live production Mac software that we're using to live stream and record this podcast. In my opinion, it is the best live streaming and recording software on the market today. So what exactly does it do? Well, essentially, it allows you to control the content that you're including in your video, be it a live stream or a recorded video. And you do this by building out different scenes that contain the content that you want to show. This content may be a feed from your camera or indeed multiple cameras, or you may be sharing a screen, which is what I do a lot of in my tutorial style videos that I make for my Take One Tech YouTube channel. You can share the screen from a second computer or maybe even a gaming console if you are a live streaming gamer. And just as we are doing in this podcast, you can also bring in guests using Ecamm Live's built-in interview mode, where guests can join from a browser and you can then incorporate their video and audio into your production. Finally, you can add all kinds of additional graphical and animated overlay elements and even movies to really add a level of branded professionalism that would be hard to achieve in any other way. The real magic happens though when you hit that record or go live button, because then you are able to seamlessly switch back and forth between all of the scenes that you've created. And indeed, this is how all of the videos have been created for my Take One Tech YouTube channel. And the reason it's called Take One Tech, by the way, is because all of the videos are made in one take with no edits. I just hit record, make the video, and as soon as I hit the end recording button, the file is there and ready to be uploaded straight to YouTube. What I love about Ecamm is not just the ease of use that it has when compared to other live streaming software, but also the greater flexibility it gives in terms of layouts and designs that you can create for your shows when compared to some of the hardware streaming solutions. And one thing that makes Ecamm great specifically for podcasts is the fact that it has the ability to record isolated audio tracks. So once we finish recording this podcast, I'll have a separate audio file for me, my guests, and any other audio tracks that have been a part of the recording. That makes the editing and repurposing of the content for the podcast so much more streamlined. It does have another little trick up its sleeve though, and that is its virtual camera feature. This allows you to take the video output from Ecamm Live straight into communication apps like Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Discord, and so on. This means that rather than just appearing in Zoom meetings with a regular camera feed, you can now show up with all of the amazing production values that Ecamm Live gives you and deliver that straight into your Zoom meeting. And trust me, when you rock up to a Zoom meeting with Ecamm, the other participants will be truly amazed. So whether for live streaming, recorded video content, or to level up your Zoom game, I highly recommend you give Ecamm Live a go. You can get a free trial by going to takeonetech.io/ecamm. That's ECAMM. takeonetech.io/ecamm. And of course, you can find a link to that in the show notes as well. You will certainly not regret giving it a go. Now let's get back to the show.
I can't tell you how many times I've gone into venues or into businesses or into studios or places, and they had all these requests, or, oh, I need this, I needed to do this, I need to do this, or this ain't working, or that ain't working. And they're using a different, I don't want to say no other names, but they're using a different service, right?
Yeah, sure.
And everything that they say that they need, I say, okay, one second. I download Ecamm. I literally download Ecamm and show them. Yeah. And this is my pitch. It's a drag and drop, plug and play, and it just works. And I literally got paid like a $500 of my fee to come, and I was there 15 minutes. Yeah. And they were just like, like what? Like, yeah, drag your video on there. Now it plays. Make a new scene. Now drag your overlay. Okay, see, drag and drop. Okay, now what do you need? That song? Okay, put that in that playlist. Hit play. Now make your, like, it's just retarded how foolproof or how like user friendly and how integratable it is with other software and hardware. And like you said, it's some secret sauce in there for sure.
And you mentioned there about like with any business that, using it for a business. I think the other thing is about it not just being for live streaming and recording, but just even for just business presentations in Zoom. I mean, I spend more time using Ecamm in Zoom than I do actually recording videos, because it just takes like your whole sort of on-screen presence on Zoom to a completely different level. And like half of the thing that people struggle with in Zoom is where, people are trying to share the screen and then they're like, oh, where do I click? Yep. How do I do this? Which window? Whereas when you can just do it all seamlessly as a sort of full production almost, you just blow people's minds. And
when you pull that virtual cam over, just forget Zoom is there. You just pull that virtual cam over. And what I do is I just minimize Zoom and I forget I'm on Zoom.
Yeah.
And I just do everything in Ecamm and I just see their mouths drop.
Uh-huh.
Like, what? Like, are you on Zoom? Yeah, I'm in Zoom. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later.
So how did you make the transition then from, or not transition, but sort of add into the things that you're doing where you started to provide this as a service to other people? You know, where did that sort of come into it?
It was 100% natural to the fact that I wasn't even trying to do that. You know, it was one of those things. It's kind of like in any business, like your actual product or your actual self is the business card. So for instance, like you go and you see somebody with a dope haircut and you're like, man, that haircut looks good. Who did your haircut? Oh, I did my own haircut. I'm a barber. Oh, can you cut my hair? Sure. So it was kind of like the same thing. Like you see a dope cake. You're like, oh, that cake is amazing. Who baked that cake? I baked that cake. Oh, can you bake me one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. So people would see my live streams and they would see stuff that I'm doing and they'd be like, bro, what is that? What are you doing? I'm really not doing nothing special. I'm just using this software called Ecamm. Oh, can you show me how to do that? Or can you set me up? Or can you and next thing you know, okay, I did it for a while, just, and I'm like, you know what? I'm spending a lot of time doing this. Let me see if I can get some money doing this. So I was like, I came up with a rate like, okay, $250 an hour, which is what I truly asked for. I'm like, give me $250 an hour and I'll come to your studio. I'll download Ecamm. I'll show you how to do it. And most of the time I spend like 2 or 3 hours there and I get paid like sometimes almost $1,000. And it's so natural, but I don't feel bad because I'm the kind of guy that I would feel bad charging people with something that I feel like is so minuscule, but it's not really minuscule because it's solving such a huge problem for them. So, so that what got me over not charging people and feeling bad for charging people, because when I see the problem that I solve for them and how it affects their business in such a positive way and their clients in such a positive way, I can stand on my price now, which is $250 an hour. It's probably going to go up to like $500 an hour, to be honest with you, because I just get so many requests and I just kind of got my system down to where, okay, $500 an hour, it'll be 2 hours. I'm going to set your studio up with the Ecamm, the camera angles, and whatever else you need. Here's a checklist of stuff you need to go get. And then I set them up and boom, boom, boom. And then another service is they're like, well, I'm too busy. So can you come in and live stream my event? Or can you come in and live stream this show? And that's like, okay, cool. So yeah, that's another, $250 an hour or whatever the case is. And like I said, people are happy to pay it because it solves such a huge problem for you. So to answer your question, I kind of fell into it naturally. And I haven't even really put the business model behind it that I should. I haven't really given it the attention that I should, knowing how profitable it is. You think I would have sat down somewhere and kind of drafted it out like, wow, well, let me start prospecting or let me start. I haven't even did that because I'm so busy. People just call me and I just going from one gig to the next. I haven't even really had time to sit down and put a business plan together, but I really could do that and take over, to be honest with you. It would be, I wouldn't say an easy 6-figure, but it would be a legit 6-figure company that I could put together, just offering live streaming services as far as like helping people set up their setup, one, and then two, actually offering the service of doing the live stream for them or doing the production for them. It will be a legit 6-figure business for sure.
The thing you mentioned there about the fees to set stuff up. The other thing to think about there as well is like how much you're actually saving them with what they now don't need. To do what we can do with Ecamm. Is like you would need a full-on studio for some other methods. You could get someone to say, can you come and live stream my event, and then they're going to be talking about all this different hardware requirements and all of that kind of different things, and you can literally do it with some cameras, a decent Mac and Ecamm. It's
I kid you not, I just did an event and I did not know this, but the producer of the event could not come to the event because they had a sickness in the family. So I didn't know this beforehand. So they called me and somebody else to come do the event. We're like, okay, we'll do it. Boom, boom, boom. So after the event, because the person who hired us did not know about Ecamm. We like, they were telling us everything they wanted to do. Yep. So we were like, I'm sometimes I'll be listening for what Ecamm can't do. Yep. Like, so you need this? Okay. In my head, Ecamm. You need this? Ecamm. You need that? Ecamm. You need that? Ecamm. I be listening for what Ecamm can't do, and I never hear that, right? I never hear what Ecamm can't do. So I just be like, okay, we'll just use Ecamm. So brought Ecamm in, did the whole 3-day conference, went smooth and seamlessly. And then after the conference, the owner of the event was like, well, what were y'all using to do? It was like, oh, we was using Ecamm. And then I found out later that the person who did the previous production was literally, I kid you not, because they live in Texas and the event was in Florida, they were renting a whole trailer of equipment to bring Yeah, they were renting a whole trailer of equipment to drive to Florida to do the event. And literally all I brought was a laptop, my 3 ZVE10s, my Rodecaster Pro, and like a couple other things, of course, but it was not a trailer full of stuff. And we did the conference, and you would have never known that we didn't have the same equipment that he had, which I don't know what he was using, but sheesh, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's mind blowing, really. I think we sort of lose sight sometimes of I have to pinch myself to see like what we can actually do from sitting here in the remote northeast of Thailand with a Stream Deck and a bit of software. It's pretty amazing.
Exactly, Stream Deck. It's crazy, man. And I brought stuff that I didn't even need because now Ecamm just integrates so good with like the ZVE10. I end up not even using my Blackmagic camera switcher. I just plugged all the ZVE10s directly into the Ecamm, and they showed USB like I'm doing right now with the M50, just plugs right in. So the way the technology is going, the way all the gear is going, how it's becoming more integratable, and the quality is getting even better with 4K and 6K. That's another thing. Like if you really know your stuff and really get good at this stuff, you can really get some good gigs and some good jobs, and they'll think that you're doing a whole thing, and you are doing a whole thing, but it's like you're doing it efficiently. Know how actually you're doing it exactly. You're doing it efficiently, and you're not necessarily breaking the bank or breaking your back at the same time trying to do it because you have a process down. You have a process. So that's what I was trying to say.
And when someone comes to you, then what are some of the kind of things that if somebody came to you and said like they're putting on an event, what sort of considerations would you give to somebody in if you were to help them sort of plan out an event? Do you have any sort of tips for people who are planning events and how to make them run smoothly?
So a lot of times, because I'm a creative person, a lot of times people are just happy with a camera on them and it's live streaming, right? But I'm just the over the top kind of guy. So I'm like, okay, that's cool, that's great, but what about like your run of show? Like, what is that? Oh, basically it's like your schedule, or it's like your scenes. It's like, it's the map of the show. How's that going to work? Okay, well, let me help you figure out what your run of show is, right? And then what about your design, your overlays? Oh, okay, well, what's that? Okay, well, let me show you how on this scene, when it's the host, it's just this overlay. When it's guest, it's this overlay. When it's screen share, it's this overlay. So a lot of times I come in and kind of blow their mind with simple stuff that I know and whatnot, but to them it's mind blowing. And by the time we put a production together, it doesn't look anything like they thought it would look. But on the good side, it's like, wow, like I had no idea, right? So to answer your question, yeah, I just kind of come in as more of the technical stuff is one thing, and that's what I tell people all the time. You can be technical all you want to, and there's no problem with that. Be technical, but the technical stuff it pays, but it doesn't it's not necessarily the wow factor without the creativity part, right? So that's why I love like everything you do. Everything you do is branded, is buttoned up, it's clean, it looks great, it looks marketable, versus just a camera and on and off. So I remember, when I first got into live streaming, that's all I saw was just a camera on some people and then lighting and then a microphone. There was no like show presence, right? As far as how it looked. And I believe that your show should be visually appealing. I believe that with so many live streams going on today, like if you go on Facebook right now, next to our live stream, you'll see 5 more live streams, right? So I always say, what is show stopping about your live stream? Or no, not stroke, but scroll stopping. What is scroll stopping about your live stream? When people are sitting there scrolling a mile a minute, what is it about your live stream that's going to stop the scroll? So that's where like the animations and the overlays and even just your topic matter. What are you talking about? Like, are you rambling? Are you hooky with your stuff? Or so like, yeah, we can go on for days. But to answer your question, I bring in a lot. I bring in a lot of value. I can do it with my eyes closed because I have a process. I'm used to it. But then again, to them, it's kind of mind blowing, and it's like, wow. So I do bring a lot to the table when it comes to like show production and stuff like that.
And have you done anything that's like remote production? Have you done any of that where people are?
I need to get in that because I was there at this last event, and they brought an Ecamm guy in, me, and they brought a Zoom woman in. And we were sitting there on the last day and we looked at each other and was like, you know what? We could have did this whole thing remote. The only thing that they wouldn't have knew how to do was hook up the gear. Right, so maybe I would have had to go one day or something like that. But that's a great thing. If we can figure out how to outsource people who know tech and can hook up the tech part of it,
Yep.
man, we could do everything 100% remote. So I know there's some people like in Ecamm that does stuff remote, like Kevin Lyons, Kirk Nugent. They do a lot of remote stuff, and that would be my next thing, bro. Like once I think a part of me is scared to go remote a little bit because, like, if anything happens to your internet connection, you just killed somebody's show, and it's not even your fault. But you're charging them a lot of money, and it's something that's not your fault. As far as internet goes down, and now their whole show with hundreds or thousands of people are watching is down. So I think a little part of me is reluctant to step into that because I'm like, man, it's too many factors that's out of my control to do it remotely. But I think if I can figure a solution out to have really, like right now, I have 1,000 up, 1,000 down internet right now. I have a company called Frontier. I get 1,000 up, 1,000 down. I'm confident in what I can do for myself. But I think if there's some way where I can have my 1,000 up, 1,000 down and some type of backup, I don't know, you're a tech guy, right? Is there some type of backup internet thing? That
you can use Speedify. So I use Speedify, and what that does is you can connect multiple internet connections. So I have it running over my LAN and my Wi-Fi to the same network, but then I also have it tether into my mobile. If I had another connection coming in, it could connect to that one. And then what it does is it combines all of those together into one connection. So you actually get an increase in bandwidth in any case, but there's redundancy there. So if one fails, then it will fail over to one of the other ones. So that's Speedify. Speedify.com is the thing to use with that one. And
Speedify.
But that does exactly that thing. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't give you a tech guy on this site in case one of the cameras goes down, which is.
But what it does do, if one of my internet connections fails, another one takes over.
They're just all connected all of the time, and and the other thing that it does actually, whilst we're talking about it, is if you've got something like your mainstream, it would have that on one of your connections, but then stuff like any little updates or something like that, it can actually put those onto the secondary connection, so it's not actually interfering with your primary connection. So that's how
Speedify it is. I'm gonna check that out because that's literally, like you said, what I could do is go to these events and set it up. But I see, but even still that, it's like you got to have somebody there to go back each day to kind of make sure stuff is getting started back up correctly. So I don't know. I don't know how they're doing the remote stuff, and they really feel good about it. But that is one thing that I want to figure out, because I think that will take a 6-figure production business to 7 figures easily. Easily 7 figures, because it's such a need right now. And as we know, the streaming business is only going to multiply. I think by, they said 2024 is going to be like double as far as the income, potential in that. So yeah, man. What about yourself? You've done any remote productions or anything like that?
Not actually remote production. So similar sort of concerns as you. even with Speedify, it's that kind of thing of not being able to go and just check the cable and things like that is a little bit of a concern. But certainly on these, the sort of same kind of consultancy side, then and it's the same. The same things that I've noticed as you, which is basically you're having a massive impact on other people's productivity by just spending a couple of hours with them to help them through these things. It's it's pretty game changing for a lot of people.
Sweet.
Yeah, but it's
awesome, man.
With the sort of online events that are coming out more. I mean, I know that you've done speaking at sort of in-person events, and the world sort of opening back up to these in-person events. But at the same time, I think virtual is definitely, or certainly hybrid is here to stay. And there's so many more of those sort of things coming online now. How have you found the sort of going back to speaking at public events after 2 years in lockdown or whatever?
It's again, I've been on stage since 2000. The year I graduated from high school in the year 2000. In that same year, I started my rap group, and we've been on stages ever since. So 22 years now I've been on stage. So it's really, really nothing for me. If somebody calls me and want to book me for a speaking event or to DJ right now in America, this is homecoming season. So all of October and November usually is I'm out DJing every weekend. Homecoming season. I had a gig this Saturday. I think it got canceled because of the hurricane, but I'm on stage then. So it's natural for me, man. The transition back in from virtual to in person is very natural. And like I said, I do believe hybrid is going to be a thing So it's definitely going to stay a thing. And it's been an easy, natural progression for me, transition for me. So I'm just loving it, man. Loving it.
Loving getting back into it. And how
Yeah,
about
man,
the
absolutely.
sort of turnout at these events then? Are you finding that there are a lot, lower attendance because more people are wanting to take the virtual option and stay at home? Or?
No, I haven't. I've been since the world opened back up. I think I've been to Vegas twice, Texas twice. I've been to a few places, and I haven't noticed, in my opinion, I haven't noticed a dip in attendance.
Right.
In any of the places. I think people are ready to get back out. I think people are ready to get
they've
back
been
in person.
cooped up and excited to get back out there again.
Yeah, I haven't noticed a dip in any attendance in anything. I actually surprisingly like, wow, is this many people here? It's crazy. So no, I think what the pandemic did was really give everyone another more gratitude for being able to meet up in person. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And not only did it give everybody more gratitude to meet up in person, but it also gave us the understanding that we still need to be virtual regardless, whether it's in person or not. There's still a whole nother audience out there of people who not going to come out the house because that's just not their personality type, right? Or whatever. So it really let people understand that, we need to be virtual and in person. So yeah, I haven't really noticed a downtick in attendance.
And it sort of like accelerated, I think, the development of a lot of the software as well. The technology to allow people to do this streaming. I mean, Zoom has come on so far since before the pandemic as well. Just like all of these platforms are now, up to this level that can handle it, and the infrastructure's there as well. So. Yeah.
I think Zoom's evaluation doubled or tripled since the pandemic. Like I seen some big thing where it came down where it's like Zoom's like, and I have a few connections that work inside Zoom, and they're working on like right now. They're currently actively working on some amazing things that's like, kind of Ecamm-ish, to be honest with you. Like,
right.
Real talk. Like they're working on some Ecamm like features. So I think you can see that coming down the pipeline in the next year or two.
And so let's talk a little bit more about the sort of business side then. So what plans have you got for your business in terms of offering this as a service and like for development of that and the products or the services that you're going to offer?
So to be 100% honest with you, anything that is a service that is going to take my time and energy, I do it strictly, to be honest with you, just to pay bills.
Right.
I don't necessarily enjoy. And I do enjoy it, but I'm saying I don't necessarily foresee myself doing the labor side or the hands-on side of it too long. But I'm 40 years old now, and it's like, and there's nothing wrong with that. I thank God every day that I have skill that I can get paid for. So I don't want you to take it the wrong way. But what I really want to get into is more like what you're doing with digital products, digital assets. Like if you want to ask Eliseo, what is your next thing? What is your next plan? My next plan is to really get serious about writing some books, writing some ebooks, physical books, building out some courses, building out mini courses and master courses, master programs, mentorships, continuity programs. Like I really feel, especially since the pandemic, I really feel very strong. My conviction is very strong with digital products, digital assets. And I believe that is the next wave of like entrepreneurship. So I believe if people depend on going out to events and being hands-on with stuff, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it'll still be a need for that. It'll still be a need for that. But one, that's going to slowly start phasing out a little bit, because I think if anything else comes around the corner, like the pandemic, and you depended on that, that's all your business is gone, right? One, and then two, how scalable is that if you have to be so hands-on with the business?
Sure.
Anything that you have to be hands-on with, again, nothing wrong with that. Not knocking nobody. I still do it, but it's not scalable, because you have to depend on hiring more hands, hiring more feet, training them, deploying them, making sure that payroll, stat. I don't want to get into none of that. Like I want to just be a solo. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound like a crab or nothing, but I don't mind being a solopreneur. Right? I want to be a solopreneur, get my digital assets, my digital products together, start cultivating a meaningful community like what you're doing, right? I just want to follow your lead, to be honest with you. Create a meaningful, cultivate a meaningful community, and like give value to them, provide value to them, and then that community provides income for me. Like that is the way to go. I believe if another pandemic comes tomorrow, or this happens or that happens, you can still live your life and affluently, like make a lot of money, and your business model will not be impacted at all. So that's my plans, to be honest with you. Now that might not come into fruition for like maybe another 6 months, because I'm kind of like actively learning. Like I'm gonna probably get Kajabi. I'll probably get it through your link sooner or later.
Right.
And then I got to build out the courses, of course. And I have a lot of stuff to build out. That's why I got to get super serious about it. And I really want it to be up by like my courses and stuff to be up by the end of the year or first quarter next year. So that's my plans, bro. That's my plans. And until then, I'll go do these gigs.
Yeah.
And I'll still probably do some stuff. I'm just not like I want to be a hermit, like in a house or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like I still want to go out and do stuff, but I don't want to have to depend on that, right? To pay bills. I want to wake up. I want to know how it feels to wake up every morning and I've made a few $1,000s, right? Mm-hmm. Or at the end of the month, like one of my major goals is to get to $10,000 a month in digital sales, right? Digital, whether that's my courses, ebook, like that is such a benchmark for me. And that's not even nothing, because I have friends who I know personally who make, like, to be honest with you, they make $100,000 a month, like in their digital sales. And so it's kind of crazy to think that somebody can make $100,000 a month between selling courses and their YouTube ad revenue and sponsorships and brand deals. Like, this is all stuff that's like kind of, it's not passive, but it's kind of passive. Yeah. So I feel like we should all be kind of marching toward that. In my opinion, we should be all marching toward that type of business model.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean that's certainly my plan as well. The thing about providing consultancy is at the end of the day you are still exchanging time for money, and like you say, you've got a finite amount of that. But having the balance though is good. When opportunities come up, then you've always got that as something extra. With the digital products.
But me and you,
well.
We have big hearts though. Me and you have big hearts, so we would do it like when you did that consultation for me. You didn't charge me, right? You just help me out. So and that's my issue too. Like I just genuinely want to help people. So, but I also know that consulting is trading time for money. So the only thing that I can see that I can offset the consulting where I'm just speaking with people is to do group consulting. Like,
yes, sure.
I'd maybe do some one-off consulting because I just have that relationship like with you, me and you can do a one-on-one.
Yeah.
But as far as if I'm giving like mass value and education, the only way I could do with consulting, and I feel kind of good about it, is like a group consulting. Group consultation. And then that would be the most that I could do with group. And that would probably come with my continuity program. They're already paying me every month, right? So once a week or once a month, we have a group session and like, let's hash it out. What are you having issues with? What can I help you with? Boom. And we all help each other. And I kind of like that too, because it takes a little bit of the burden off of you, because you have other experts in your community. You have other people in your community that's growing and getting better and getting smarter, and they want to start to go along the same path as you. So they're willing to jump in there and help somebody too. So it kind of takes some of the burden off of you. But yeah, I'm legit following your path, bro. Like you're out here killing it. So like I said, I'm definitely gonna be paying you for some consultation to help me get my stuff together, bro. So for real.
Well, you mentioned there about the thing about, just happy to help people. And I think that is obviously a really great solid foundation and starting point for anything where you're trying to build a community and build a business, because it's clear from everything I've seen of you that you're service first and helping people first and foremost. And I've just watched actually on James Hicks' live stream. He had Kirby Hasseman, the author of The Give First Economy, and that's a great book all about that. Wow. There's no shame in asking people for money as well, but coming from a point of the give first ethos is I can. So many of us are all about that, and it's so crucial to the success of anything.
And my wife, when I first got with her, one thing she noticed, she said, "Eliseo, people are always giving to you." Like I would literally have like somebody call me up and be like, "Hey, I have this opportunity where you can make like $1,000 for something that's like really easy. Like you might as well just have to give me the money." Or people are like, "Oh, they'll give me this coaching program for free. That's like $5,000." Or something where my wife would be like, "Yo, people are literally just always giving you stuff. Like you just have this favor in your life." And I said, I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like people give to me because I'm such a giver. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like I literally have no problem, giving to people. Like it's one of the things that, how people have their little dopamine kick or their little, euphoric kick. That's me when it comes to giving. Like, that's another thing that my wife and my family noticed about me. Like, there's no way I can be like out in the street somebody and see somebody hungry or something, and I not stop and like ask them, do they want some food, or try to give them something or something like that. So I said all that to say that like people give to me a lot because, and people, it's probably the same for you, because like I believe that like the givers are like we know we feel each other. Like, you're all about the people, you're all about helping people, so let me help you out, and vice versa. So yeah, but some people they're not givers, they don't understand that concept. It's foreign to them. Like, no, like you feel like you're taking your time and your money to help people, and it's kind of like a scarcity mindset. That's what it is.
That
like
is what it is.
Scarcity mindset. Like I'm giving you my time, but what am I getting for it? I was on Instagram the other day, and I saw this dude's Instagram, and I just loved how his angle was, and his camera settings, and how it looked. So a lot of times I could look at people's set and be like, okay, well, he's probably using this or probably using that. So I remember I went in his comments and I was like, oh, are you using this? You using that? Boom, boom, boom. He was like, oh, yeah. How'd you know? I'm like, because I kind of got a similar setup. But then I asked him, I said, it was something that I didn't know how he did. And I was like, hey, so what about this though? And he didn't want to tell me because his answer was, well, I can't give all of the information away for free. And it was literally just one question. Like, I think I asked him, is he using like a filter on his lens? Because it kind of had a glossy look. And so it just like hit me hard. Like, wow. I was like, why would you think telling me what lens you're using is giving away something for free? Like, but it's that mindset. Mindset. Like his first thing was, oh, I can't give that away for free. Like, and so I went back and I was like, bro, I put in his comments, I said, when I started sharing information for free, I said, my income tripled. That's what I told him. I said, so don't be scared to share information, bro. Like, my income tripled when I started sharing information. Like, everything comes back, bro. Like, everything comes. So you're helping somebody. You know how many people you help will feel not indebted, but they will feel so, basically like I got to help this person back. And you never know how that's going to come back. That can come back in a major way. You never know. And I'm not saying do it for that, but just kind of keep that vibe going. Like give and just, something to help somebody. Now you go ahead and pay it forward. Yeah, paying it forward. Like keep that pay it forward mindset is basically what I'm saying.
And also you never know when you're going to get it back either. So sometimes, somebody's seen something, you've had an interaction with them, you don't hear from them from months. And then sometimes they'll get in touch and say, hey, I've got this thing. And it's like, you never know what tiny little thing that you've done can have a massive impact on people. And also the things that you give away that you think are, trivial and it's just a little thing, whereas other people will react to it and just say like, oh my gosh, this is like the best thing that I've learned all year.
It's the best.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in a rap group, I was the producer and a singer and the hook maker in our rap group. So I was very sought after because I wasn't just a rapper. I was actually making the music, right? And not only was I making the music, but after I make the music, then I would go and I would write a hook, the hook, the chorus.
Yep.
I would write hooks and choruses to my beats. So as a creative, you could probably, like when you're really in your zone and you're in a creative vibe, you can probably make a beat and a hook. So that's kind of like a song minus the lyrics. The verses. You could do like 3 of those a day, when you're in your creative vibe. So I say that to say sometimes when I was just in my creative zone, I would make like 3 beats a day and I would put 3 hooks to them. So at one point I had like 50 to 100 beats and hooks just chilling. And I wasn't writing that many songs. I wasn't writing that many verses, that many 16-bar verses. And my group, what I would do is I would just people would hit me up and be like, hey man, I really need a dope beat and a hook. I'd be like, you know what? You're doing your thing. I see you doing your thing. Here you go. I would give it to them. So I did that a few times. And I was like, I didn't really think about it. But later, I'm talking about, this was like in 2005, 2006. Later, like when Facebook got big in like 2016, 2017, I'm starting to get people writing me back. And some of these people, bro, are like big now. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember one dude hit me up. I didn't even know, but he had invested in Bitcoin before Bitcoin was a thing. And now he's like low-key a millionaire. And he wrote me back and he's like, bro, whatever you need, I got you. I'm not the guy to be like, oh yeah, give me some money. But it's like, that's pretty cool to know that somebody I helped back in the day invested in Bitcoin and now he's a millionaire and he's telling me whatever I need, he got me. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, bro, like you don't even know how you giving me that beat and that hook back in the day when I couldn't even afford to buy it. You just giving it to me. That like how that impacted my life in such a positive way. And I've had other examples like that of people coming back to me years later, and they're like, "Bro, do you remember doing this?" I'm like, "I don't even remember." They're like, "Yeah, you did this. You got me this, or you bought me this, or you took me here." And it was just my giving mentality. And that, like you said, you never know when it's going to come back. But it's kind of exciting because you know it's going to come back. Yep. You know that the good fortune will come back, and it's kind of like that old saying, "You never be broke. You never go broke." So it's like that's what I love about it.
Yeah, it's the way it's those little things as well make my day. It's the same as Andrew Jenkins was on the show last week, and he was talking about like make someone's day because it'll always also make yours, and it's so true. Those little things that have an impact. They really do. They keep me smiling.
Facts.
Well, time's rattling on. I could chat to you all day, but I do want to make sure I save time to talk about your studio setup. So I've got a little...
Oh, yeah, man. Show the lab.
yeah. Where's it gone now? Here we go. So I've always liked the whole vibe that you've got going on in your setup. It looks so cool. So perhaps you could talk through like what you've got and the evolution of it maybe as well a little bit, and sort of what you've added to it. And
man. So I mean, my studio, my brand is Content Ecosystem. Content Ecosystem came to me because I just feel like that's what, like, to have a successful content creation, career, your content needs to be in an ecosystem. Whether it's like how like when you think of an ecosystem, people are like, what does that mean? Well, it's like everything harmoniously acting together for the benefit of everybody. So if you go to like a forest ecosystem, you have the plants, you have the water, you have the trees, but they all depend on each other. Even the animals and the insects, they all depend on each other to survive, kind of, So it's like, that's what I feel like content is, like from the media, the audio, the video, the personality, the writing, so content ecosystem is more like a holistic approach. So I just wanted to embody that. And that's why my colors are green, because like an ecosystem, you think of green, like a forest or whatever like that. So like, it's just a vibe, bro. Like you come in, dopeness is one of my favorite words. So I got that sign, content ecosystem logo sign, of course. You're looking at my 2020 iMac. It's a 10 core processor. It was the last Intel iMac. Me and Marshall Fox bought ours together.
Right.
And then of course, as you see on there's the OG Rodecaster Pro. I have the new one now. And so that's kind of like my live stream. As you see the Stream Deck XL down there, you see the Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro down there. And then to the left of all that, you see my music creation setup. It's just kind of like all in one. So my laptop for my music, my beats, and then the keyboard. On the right, you see my iPad. I use that for, like, if you want to do stuff, of course, you can do stuff in Ecamm. You can produce beats on that as well. Shure SM7B. This setup, if you look at it, it has I have 3 M50s right there. So I sold all those M50s. I just have one M50 that I use right now. And I switched over all to ZVE10s mainly because they all connect via USB without a capture card. I don't need a capture card.
Right.
And if you look at the top, I have a white camera at the top. That's my down angle. Do you see that?
Yeah, sure.
The white. Yeah. So I switched that out for a ZV1. So that's a ZV1 now. So my down angle is a ZV1. But it's a pretty straight away. I mean, you can go and bring me full screen, and then I'll show kind of me live in here now. And this is me now. Can you see me?
Nice.
Hey.
Yeah.
So so this is my M50 right here. This is, of course, the sign. I don't think this was in that picture. I got this later.
Right.
I found a box that kind of fit. Other than that, this is the OG Rodecaster Pro. The OG Rodecaster Pro. I mean, this is the new Rodecaster Pro. Oh, and I have these speakers now. These are really good, by the way. These are the iLoud speakers, by IK Multimedia. They sponsored my show, so they sent me these, and I am very happy and pleased with these. I actually use these when I take these same ones to conferences. Right. When they need to hear audio out, I use these. So I would definitely recommend that. Oh, I use a CalDigit as my main hub. For backup audio, I believe it's very important to have backup audio. I have a Focusrite. Right. And the Focusrite is just plug and play. So I've actually, believe it or not, sometimes, this equipment is great, but equipment is still tech, right?
Sure.
So sometimes you can just have a tech blurb. And I've actually been on live streams or right before a live stream where my roadcaster just had a blurb. And then I just literally go right to my inputs and I go to Focusrite, and then I just plug my SM7B into my Focusrite, and you will never tell that anything happened, right? So I strongly believe in having backup audio and backup video. So like if my main camera was to go down right here, if that camera was to go down right here, I would just turn around and start doing my show right here. I'll just do my show right here, and people they will never know that this camera went down, because I've been in live streams where like the camera overheat or something and it goes down in the middle of the live stream, and I just click over here and they just think it's a part of the show, but really they don't know my camera went down. So I'm like, hey, so what we're going to talk about now, we're going to talk about, and just, you would never know. So I think that's really important to just kind of have 2 or 3 of everything, to be honest with you. 2 or 3 angles, 2 or 3 mic situations, audio situations, and things like that.
And you talked there about some different camera angles. One of the things I liked about when the first time I saw your live stream with you, where you your interview show, where you actually starting on a different camera and different mic, and doing your sort of piece to camera the intro and then switch over. It's just a little thing, but it makes a difference. I think it sort of it makes it have a different vibe to all of my stuff's basically I'm just sitting here, aren't I? So I
didn't even think nobody noticed that or paid attention to it. So it's good to know somebody paid attention to that.
I love that. It just has a like a different vibe from the intro, and then going over to I really like that. And you were talking earlier as well about and in fact I saw on your Instagram. And by the way, all the links to everywhere you can find Eliseo are in the description and in the show notes. So definitely go and check out all of these things. But one thing you posted on your Instagram just yesterday or the day before was the sort of another set that you've been working on. So perhaps you can sort of tell us a little bit about that and the idea behind it.
Yeah, I can show you.
Oh, cool.
So it's actually right here on the side of my thing here, and I'm just going to go to. Now, don't laugh at my studio. Y'all going to see the behind the scenes. So this is the thing. What I tell people all the time before I even show you that. One thing I learned about the power of like video cameras is framing. I think if you can understand framing, you can have so much more fun with content creation and video cameras, because one thing I didn't understand before I got cameras was I'm looking at my office. I'm like, man, this is so ugly. Oh man, people are not going to like how this look on camera. Boom, boom, boom. But then I understand the magic of framing. Framing basically is whatever's in the camera frame, you just focus on that and you dress that up as good as possible and you make that look like magic. So I just said that to say, don't laugh when you see how this looks, because this is unscripted. Okay. So let me go ahead and just go to this camera. Boom. All right. And then I'm just going to turn this camera this way. Now, this is really dark, but I'm working on another setup on that bookshelf. So you see like a good vibe sign right there?
Yep.
And then like this is not lit up. But actually what I can do is, hold on. What I can do is I can actually put a light on that. So that's not too good. Yeah, if I was prepared, I would have had this set lit up. But this is basically a bookshelf. And basically what I want to do is I want to just be able to, because I want to get into some mindset stuff. And I want to, like I told you, I want to write some books and stuff. So I think people will take me a little bit more seriously when I get into that if I have a different setup that looks more like studious. So I want to have a setup that looks studious with like books and other stuff. So I'm not really done with that setup yet. But, I'm working on I was telling you off camera that I'm working on about 4 setups in my little studio room. So I have a very small studio room. I think it's like 12 by 12. Literally, I'm not kidding. It's like 12 by, maybe 10 by 10. It's very small. But I have, of course, my setup. This is, of course, my main setup. This is my main setup where I'm sitting down. I can do talking head videos. I can do things like that for YouTube, of course. But then I want another setup, basically, that is capturing my studio from my desk. So I always want to be able to show my desk setup, right? So with my logo and stuff like that. So this will be technically another set, whatnot. And then the other setup is the one that you've seen against the bookshelf. And then I have actually like 2 more different setups that I'm working in this room that when you see them all independently and individually, you wouldn't probably even know I'm in the same room, but I am. So I think that's the magic of what I talk about with framing. because you can have all these different decent little setups and they're all in the same room, just in different corners of the room, and people don't even know. They think, oh, where are you at today? Like, I'm in the same room. Especially with vertical now, because you turn the camera sideways, it's getting a lot less landscape. It's just getting up and down. So if you really, really thought about it, and I think this is what a lot of content creators do, especially with vertical videos, they have about maybe 5 to 10 setups in their small rooms that they do different vertical things with, where it's like tutorials or unboxings or motivational speaking. You always see these content creators in there with different sets. Oh, that looks dope. Oh, that looks dope. That looks dope. I think they're all in the same room, just dressing up their sets differently. That's what I think.
Yeah. There's a really funny term from, Mr. Camera Junkie, Lewis. And so he calls that the cone of cleanliness. So everything that you see inside that area is all pristine on camera, but then anything you don't want to be on camera, you can just push out of the way. I think
I'm still in it. The cone of cleanliness. I'm still in it for sure.
Yeah, it's a genius term that is.
But and kind of going back to my set, there's two things I want to encourage people with. One, this setup, just like yours and anybody else's, was an evolution. It took me probably like 2 years to get it to where I felt like, oh man, this is it now. I can really, this is it. But it takes time. I wouldn't say break the bank, because this is like $20,000 worth of stuff in here, to be honest with you. Between just, it's like 20 grand worth of stuff in here. Like my computer alone was like almost $5,000, right? So it's an evolution.
Yep.
So that's what I want to encourage people with. Like, don't try to build your setup, your studio, your what we call content creation battle station. Don't try to build that overnight. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to stress yourself out. You're going to put undue and unfair stress on yourself and work. Just take your time with it. And don't get gas and buy stuff you don't need. You know how much stuff I bought that I never used? And down to this A10 Mini Pro. I bought this A10 Mini Pro, bro, and I have not used this A10 Mini Pro one time. I bought this thing and haven't used it one time because I thought I needed it. But again, with the power of Ecamm, I never needed this at all. So now I just keep it on my desk because I don't want an empty space on my desk. It's weird. Like the way I have my setup is I have, let me see if I can go back to this camera. The way I have my setup, it's kind of petty, but can you see this? The way I have my setup, I have my A10 Mini Pro, my Stream Deck, and I have my Focusrite. So it fills in this little space perfectly. If I was to take my A10 Mini Pro out, I have a hole right here. So the only reason I haven't not sold this thing is because I don't want a hole right here on my desk. So as soon as I figure out what can go right here, then I will probably be selling this thing. So, but the second thing I want to encourage people with, and I'll just go back to this camera, is I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I have a cousin who has none of this stuff. You can go to her channel. Are you on the internet?
Yeah.
Go. Yeah, bring yourself on the internet and go to this YouTube channel. This is my little cousin. Okay. The thing about her is she has none of the stuff I have. Right? Can you pull up the internet?
Yeah. What's the channel?
Yeah, it's Dream Home Base Work. Dream Home Base Work. I believe that's what the channel is. And then you can like show it on the screen share. And I just use her as an example because she has none of the stuff I have. I kid you not. She literally just uses the webcam that's on her laptop. She don't have no good lighting or nothing. But she has over 100,000. Yep, that's my little cousin. You see that little vector? I did that vector for her because I was doing vectors. I need to send you your vector. I did you a vector. I don't think I ever sent it to you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll send you your vector.
Sweet.
Yep. So I got you a vector. I'm gonna send it over.
Nice.
So that vector I got created for her, and that's my little cousin. Her name is Keisha, right? And we grew up together. Look how many subscribers she has. Right?
Yeah, 164,000. That's
doing
all right.
Look at her. Look at her camera. Does that look? That's the webcam.
Right.
Okay. So this is actually true story that she has none of the stuff I have. She stays focused on creating content. My little cousin, this was last year. She showed me her ad revenue. She makes from YouTube alone. She gets over $10,000 per month in YouTube ad revenue alone.
Right.
So that's $120,000 a year that she makes from YouTube ad revenue in her niche, because the home work from home niche,
right,
is one of the highest paid CPMs on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the highest paid CPMs on YouTube. So she gets over $10,000 a month in ad revenue alone. She also has courses. She has mentorships. She also has affiliate marketing. She has a bunch of stuff to where I just saw my cousin. She's probably making like $500,000 now. Not even lying. She's probably making $500,000 a year. That all started from her YouTube channel, and she has none of the equipment I have. She has none of this stuff. So I said all that to say, you don't need none of this stuff, guys, to make a lot of money on YouTube and to be successful on YouTube. You don't need none of this stuff. You need content that is very valuable to people, content that's important, that people are searching for, and you need consistency and a good work ethic. And I'm telling you, you don't need none of this stuff. You can still be super successful. So I just kind of had to say that because I don't want nobody to leave in our stream tonight and feeling hopeless, like, oh, I'll never have that stuff they got. Well, guess what? You don't need it. I got a little cousin making $500,000 a year, and she don't got none of this stuff. So that's what I want to say.
Well, that is a brilliant place to wrap it up, because I normally like to ask, what's the one thing you want, one bit of advice you want to give before we finish, and that is just the perfect bit of advice there. So I just want to be conscious of your time. It is the top of the hour, so thank you so much for coming and sharing your wisdom with us all and sharing your space and everything like that. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you.
Yes. Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. And whenever you need me, bro, hopefully I won't be in the middle of another hurricane. Feel free to hit me up, and I'll be glad to jump on. We need to do a stream before we jump off. Me, you, and like a few other people who's in the space, and just have like a nice stream with like 4 or 5 or 6 of us, and we just powwow and talk about what we're doing and some life hacks, some career hacks, and really just have fun on the stream and just kind of like talk about what we're doing and help people out, answer some questions live. I think that'd be dope, like a group stream. I think that'd be dope.
Well, I'm here for that for sure. So yeah, I'll be there anytime.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all.
Thanks so much.
I'll let you wrap up the show. Yeah.
Cool, man. Thank you so much. In the next episode, I'll be joined by Keith Kelzer. Keith is another great man with very many talents. And just as Eliseo has had some legendary live streams in the Ecamm community, Keith is a bit of a legend himself, especially when it comes to his studio setup. With probably 6 more cameras than most setups, camera sliders and a jib for that ultimate panning shot, it really does have to be seen to be believed. And then there's the overall aesthetic and the lighting and everything like that he's got going on. It's truly one of a kind, and his studio was another inspiration to me when I was thinking about how to set up mine. And I've got a long way to go before I get to either his or Eliseo's level either. But there's so much more that we're going to be able to talk with Keith about next week, and it's going to be far more than just studio talk as well. So it's sure to be another insightful conversation. So I hope to see you there. And in the meantime, have an absolutely wonderful week ahead. See you next time.